Hi, guys. Welcome to TCCW Live. We are here today with our special guest, Paulo, who is originally from Portugal. He's been carnivore that I know of for at least 2 years and does some weight training and stuff like that. So, we're going to get into a little bit. Welcome, Paulo. Welcome today, James, as well. If you will, Paulo, tell us a little bit about your story. How did you end up on a carnivore path?
Thank you very much. Hi, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here today. I'm very glad to present my story to everyone. And I hope my story is like an inspiration to empower people to find the best version of themselves, because that's what I like to do.
Nice.
So, my road to carnivore diet actually started around 2020. It was roughly that year that eventually led me to that, to what I'm doing nowadays. So in 2020, I hit a very tough situation in my life. I was extremely depressed and I was overeating. Um,
Mm.
Eating like 5 6 times a day, and even like eating very late during the day, like midnight, 1 a.m., 2 a.m. I was going for a lot of carbohydrates mainly. I would eat them until I got really bloated. This was the thing. I always have been a big eater. Always have eaten a lot of food throughout my life. Every time, every meal, this was my way of dealing with the food.
Yeah.
So I had many symptoms that were bothering me a lot, but I grew up in a way that complaining about some health symptoms would mean that you would be considered a weak person. You
Mm.
would be viewed as that. So I would hide a lot of them. I would not complain many times. So I had all of these symptoms that included mainly gastric reflux. I would wake up during the night many times with this issue. Several times with sleep paralysis. And at the time, I really thought I was going crazy. Like I thought I had some kind of mental issues, some brain issues. People were talking around me all the time that if you had those kind of things, you would be considered crazy. So it was kind of a taboo to talk about that. That's why I never really exposed myself in that way. So I had some hallucinations as well.
Wow.
It was mostly during the night, and I would never ever link these issues with the food that we are eating, because usually the people, they do whatever everyone around them is doing, around their circle, or like they do what usually is considered common, the way people eat. Let's eat the common things, a little bit of everything, and let's have some variety without ever taking into account individuality. And I think this is not the right thing to do. So after this, in 2020, this was the first time I went abroad to live abroad. Back in that year, I went to Bulgaria to live for work, and then I started to change a little bit my diet to have more, let's say, what is considered the healthy way of eating. So you gotta eat fruit every day, vegetables as well, like 5 portions of each. And I would have it with pasta, with rice, with all the time keeping in mind to avoid the red meat. So I would do what the doctors would say, like eating red meat maximum 2 times a week. And this was the main thing that I was eating, trying to be healthy. With what was considered back in, for me, considered healthy. So I kept going. After 2 years, I didn't have any significant changes. In Bulgaria, it was actually the worst time for me to for having these inflamed tonsils. I had
Mm.
my tonsils full of pus, like really regularly. I don't know why, but it was probably related to the food, of course. I just didn't know back then.
Right.
I was eating a lot of vitamin C, and I thought it would improve all the time. You know how they say you gotta have vitamin C all the time to prevent the flu and to help you cure this. I was like every 2 3 months in the doctor with my tonsils really swollen and white. At a point, they even suggested me to remove the tonsils, but I don't know why I had that feeling that there must be a way, there must be something, some alternative that I could find to stop this. Not to remove the tonsils. I want to figure out the root cause of this. So after that, I went back to Portugal for a year, and I was discussing with my wife, how can we improve our health? How can we lose weight for good? Because I was struggling so much. And she presented me actually with a podcast with a food scientist talking about the keto diet. And I said to my wife, you know what? I'm gonna start this. I'm gonna try it out. There's so much bad talking about keto diet that you will run into many problems. But
Mm.
I'm a person of trying things and figuring out stuff. So I started the keto diet, and within the span of 3 months, I lost a lot of weight and I started feeling better. My symptoms started to get better and better with only the keto diet, but still there was something there remaining. Like I didn't have the same problem, like the same intensity, let's say, with the tonsils problem, but it was still a little bit there. So after a bit, I started checking out more YouTube, and I started finding these doctors talking about carnivore diet. And the first impression that I got back then was like, these people are crazy, but
Right.
let's try it out. Why not? Because I'm a really curious person. Rather than okay, I judged a bit, but whatever. Let's try it. See what it takes us. I started it in January 2 years ago, and January, very early January, I was sick with problems in my tonsils for the last time. Then I started the carnivore diet actually around 20th of January, something like that. I don't recall the exact day, but it was something like that. After I started it, I never I was mind blown. Like I never had issues with my tonsils ever again.
Nice.
Something that would happen to me every 2 to 3 months. I would have to take antibiotics.
Wow.
Yeah, at a point, the last doctor that prescribed me antibiotics, I said to myself, "No, that's enough. That's enough of it. I don't think this is helping me." And Starting the carnivore diet, this was the very first thing that I noticed. No more tonsil issues, no more issues with my throat, and no more getting like really sick anymore. Like
Yeah,
nowadays, if I get sick, I'm able to go to work still. I'm able to do whatever I want. I'm able to go to work out. It's just like very mild symptoms. I don't get sick anymore like I used to. And this is a great victor for me.
that is awesome. That is absolutely awesome. So, I'm assuming that nobody ever came to a point where they figured out why you were getting all these tonsil issues. It just was like, "Well, this is just something you're gonna have to deal with."
Yeah, exactly
Yeah.
that. You're just gonna have to take antibiotics.
Mm.
So yeah, all the hallucinations were gone. I was yeah, I was completely mind blown with this. Like I thought I was going crazy for a long time. No, it's not. And it opened my eyes to many other things. Like I started improving my health through other means as well and paying attention to other things around me. Like for example, the molds. It's very harmful, and
Mm.
I started realizing that it really harms your health living with mold around you. So that's something you should really avoid.
Yeah, I mean, I think carnivore brings a consciousness to life in all areas. It becomes beyond food, and that's where I hear your story. I think that's amazing. You're conscious to your well being, and we realize it's through in a lot of ways the food that we're eating. But even right now, there's no way, if at all possible. I'm trying to get sunlight, if at all possible. Selena, you have an awesome setup, so I know you're there, but you got some great sunlight. It looks like Paulo, same with you. I don't know the scenario, but like part of the lifestyle is just getting outside, being active, thinking about the food that we're eating. What is the root cause of your tonsils being swollen? Like, why are we sick year round constantly? You're right. I think a lot of carnivore wins are not being sick and being down for 3 or 4 days stuck on the couch. It's finding healing in that way.
Actually, this is a big turning point in which when I used to get sick, I was like in bed, like I couldn't get out of bed, and this is like a real game changer. Like I wouldn't be able to go out and just stay in bed, like drink orange juice, take some pills, and I thought this was the right way to go. Right now, when I get sick, I don't take anything. I just go through it, and I really don't need to be drinking orange juice or eating oranges. It's like insane for me because
Mhm.
I kept digging and digging, and apparently I'm fructose intolerant. So it would be even worse because I used to get a lot of how do you call them? There's some kind of mouth mouth ulcers. Actually, I used to get them a lot, and my mother and my sister are really prone to that as well. So I am really prone to that. And when I am really, really strict with the food, that is most of the time, I don't get any mouth ulcers. If I eat something out of the diet, yeah, I get immediately one or two.
One of, the things my husband brought to mind to me one time was he said, "You know how crazy it is that we drink fruit juice?" He said, "You would never, ever consume even if you went along in the wild and you found fruit, you would never consume such high concentrations of that particular fruit or that juice to where I mean, you're literally getting an exasperate amount in one serving compared to what you would even get if you did happen to come across it in the wild and find it and eat it because it's so concentrated. He's like, and yet we think that's normal. Like you're supposed to drink a glass every morning and you're supposed to, run and have this. He goes, but that's crazy. We never would have had that in that kind of concentration ever.
Yeah, that's true. The problem is that people will usually tell you, "Oh, but the life expectancy was really low back then." And how do you say, like, you cannot really say that it was the food that was causing that?
Mm,
It was
yeah.
I studied archaeology in university for 2 years. I eventually dropped back then. I was really young, didn't know what I wanted from from life.
Right.
But one of my favorite subjects was prehistory, and it was really interesting that we had a teacher that at one point he was vegetarian, but he was actually teaching us that human beings actually evolved mostly eating carcasses of animals, like mostly bones, the insides of the bones. The brain developed mostly thanks to that. Well, there are other factors, of course, but this is like a main factor. It's really crucial to how human beings develop their intelligence. Mostly thanks to animal fats.
Mm, absolutely. The decline of our brain development has actually happened since we started introducing agriculture. And most people don't realize that, like, we actually were developing far better as far as like our cognition and our intelligence before we introduced agriculture and farming and, all of these plant-based foods. Our brain development was still continuing, and since then, it has actually been declining. We have amazing inventions and all of that, and yes, it's not to say that, we are dumber, it's just we have declined our own progression of intelligence. We could have been probably, floating around with our own levitation devices by now.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, who knows?
absolutely. Oh,
Right.
I I like to say like we all get smarter when we eat properly, and a lot of times I asked this question in the school group. Selena, you may have seen it, but does IQ increase with proper nutrition? I don't know. Like, are we just born with a certain IQ, or can it actually improve? I think it can actually improve because to me, IQ is just taking conflicting answers and finding the right solution out of it. And clearly, that's not the definition of IQ or the testing method, right? So I'm acknowledging that much, but I'm saying in general, clear thinking, less
Right.
brain fog, does that correlate to higher IQ? I'd say so.
Yeah. I'd have to potentially agree with you on that because I know my ability to go through deductions and kind of find answers for things is so much faster than before. And it's not necessarily that I was incapable before, but it was like there was it like trying to start an engine that's on running off of, really sludgy oil. It's gotta work harder versus running an engine that's got crisp oil, clean, smooth, the viscosity's just right. You know?
Totally
It ju
agree
Yeah,
here.
Right? Pistons are gonna
and,
move.
and Paulo, you brought up, people. You had symptoms of what people would call crazy, mental illness in a sense when you're
Yes.
eating standard diet. And I thought about the same. Like those who are going through mental illness right now, it's probably in large part due to highly inflammatory foods and inflammatory to the brain as well. So I think the symptoms you called out aren't far off from what those who are dealing with, maybe they're born into it, or maybe they're dealing with since an early age. But I know a lot of us in the space know metabolic psychiatry is booming because I think mainstream
Mhm.
practice is realizing that metabolic health has such an impact on our mental health. And so I don't know if you have anything to add. Obviously, you overcame some of these symptoms.
Yeah, and actually, you were mentioning you both of you were mentioning the brain performance, and this is actually one thing that happened to me. Because growing up, I had some difficulties in learning, and mostly dealing with numbers. And right now, with the carnivore diet, I deal with numbers so much better.
Mm.
Like this was a problem because my whole life I was thinking like I had some handicap or something. It's terrible. I thought of myself like inferior uh, all the time like that because I wasn't performing well.
Yeah.
And then I just realized like really it it's because of that. Well, there comes here the part of genetics that play a role, I believe, because there are some people that are more sensitive than others, and I believe this is my case, as well as other people that have, let's say, issues with the skin, like a lot of acne or psoriasis when exposed to certain kind of food groups. You know, it plays a huge role, and I was again mind blown with the improvement of performance, brain performance mainly, like and the ability to deal with numbers, and I actually like to deal with numbers right now. It's crazy. I used to hate math class, yeah,
Mhm. Yeah.
and waking up was really a difficult task for me.
Mm.
Waking up, well, I felt this kind of sluggish, or like, "Oof, let's try to get up," was really difficult. Right now, I can get up really easily. Even if I sleep really few hours, I can just get up. It just starts right away. There is no no delay.
Yeah, I find that interesting about life in general, though. On a proper human diet, carnivore, it's an even uh, energy state, and it's almost from awake to sleep. Because even going to sleep, I'm awake up until the moment I'm like, all right, I'm going to bed. It's been a good day. Like it's not that former life of mine eating the carbs where I'm like, oh, I'm just gonna try to stay awake the next couple of hours and then lull my way to sleep, or go pop the pills, that
Mhm.
I did, the melatonin pills that I take at night. And I'm like, all right, now I'm gonna use count down. I've got an hour until I'm asleep. Now it's just like, boom, I'm out by call it 11 p.m. And then I'm up usually around 6:30 to 7 a.m. just like a light bulb. Let's go.
Ready to
It's
go
crazy, but
immediately.
yeah, yeah,
And I feel like I've struggled for a big part of my life to get workouts done consistently. Like some years before carnivore, I used to be like going to the gym, and then after like 1 month, I would be too tired to continue. Right now, I'm like since 2 years, 3 years ago, I've been able to work out consistently without fail. It's amazing, and I feel so much stronger. Like at a point in my life, many years ago, I used to do some martial arts, like kickboxing and Chinese kung fu for a while, and I decided back then to remove red meat from my diet for 1 year. It was one of the worst decisions in my life. The performance went downhill. Like I lost so much strength. It was
Mm.
crazy. Yeah. But it's one of those things. I'm a curious person and I want to try like everything possible to improve my own health. And back in the day, it was like trendy to remove the red meat. Oh, remove the toxins from the red meat. It's like toxic. Red meat is toxic, and I was falling into that trap. And oh no way! After a year, I put back red meat, and it was really different.
Yeah, I did the same when I dropped red meat. I actually cut all meat, and then like a lot of people in the carnivore current carnivore space, they've been vegan vegetarian. So I tried that, and I always dive back into red meat first. I think it's amazing just how instinctive we are when we listen to our bodies. But it was for me always ground beef. I'm like, I want ground beef. I don't care about this, and I would still dive back into the vegan lifestyle. I had a good friend at the time that was a big influence for me trying that. So I wouldn't say that I actually sought it myself, and it was more for health. It wasn't for any you know emotional reasons, so to speak. That was my take on it. But in the end, I just was like, I agree with you. I didn't like my workouts. I didn't like the way I felt, and I knew instinctively I needed to eat red meat. And to follow up on your comment about workouts, it's like being nutrient filled with red fatty meat so often. I like the motivation is almost natural. Like you said, you want to wake up in the morning, and also for me, and I'm sure for so many of us, you just want to move. Like it's a non-negotiable now for me to move. I gotta go do agility. If I don't, then of course I'll be okay. Just like if I fast that day, I'll be okay. But it's more like that's now it's like a non-negotiable of life. The way that the heart beats, the way that we breathe, the way that we need water. It's like movement just becomes ingrained in life. It's amazing.
Indeed. And most people don't realize that as human beings, we evolved like moving a lot.
Mm.
During prehistoric times, we were moving a lot. Like our body evolved for a lot of movement. We cannot stay like, let's say, I know nowadays it's difficult due to the nature of the jobs, but every 2 hours you can like take 5 minutes to move to do like, or there's a trick also. Every time you need to go to the bathroom, you can just put in like 10 squats. Yeah.
I have not heard anybody associate going to the bathroom and getting an extra workout.
I mean, it's a window. You take that time to go to the bathroom, you
Right?
get out, you do 10 squats. Why not? Before sitting, you just do it. And
I
like
love
Jim
it.
said, it's like movement is non-negotiable. You gotta
Right?
have, you gotta put in, you gotta
I
do it.
I don't know
And
why that never crossed my mind to take that period of time.
creativity, I guess.
Yes.
It's another thing that carnivore did for me. Like my creativity improved, since I got my brain to work way better like this. I started being more creative, and I started exposing myself in Instagram. I said, let's just do it. Why not? Whatever happens. Because if it's cringy or not, I don't care anymore. I don't care what people think about me. I'll just do it, and whatever happens. Yeah.
Paulo, you've proven. I know I wrote a brief description about you proved that muscle building doesn't require carbs. But if anybody hasn't seen your Instagram, like you're a very athletic human. And can you talk about like your athleticism? I know you already did, but maybe a little bit more of your current athleticism versus where you were. And, yeah, you're a strong person.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for seeing that, because not everyone sees that. And a lot of people have this misconception that humans, when they go to the gym and do like some weightlifting, the muscles should be really big. but we are not built like that. Like,
Exactly.
I'm currently studying anatomy. It's part of a course that I'm taking. Um, and 1 kilo of fat is really completely different than 1 kilo of muscle in terms of size. And many people don't realize this. So, regarding the muscle building, yeah, I started being consistent working out at around the same time I started keto. So there were very little to no carbs already, and it's been improving month by month. It's only been 3 years since I started working out, and many people don't realize that this is a lifelong investment, working out and building muscle. It takes years and years to build a really high muscle definition. So, in my point of view, I'm just getting started right now. But I got a consistency, which is really, really good. And I've never in my life put on this amount of muscle with carbohydrates. Like, I keep on increasing the loads of the weights and my physical fitness. I'm really happy with it. One thing that I was suffering from constantly was pain in the knees. I couldn't walk more than half an hour. Like, I
Oh.
would be so tired. I would feel so much pain in my knees. After starting carnivore, I can walk the entire day and I feel so good about it. Like, I can walk kilometers and kilometers without feeling any pain in my knees. That is truly liberating. Like, this is what I think people need to know about. It's about it's about empowerment, you know. Um, the carnivore diet also uh, taught me how to make good choices under pressure. Like, what I mean is, when you have absolutely no chance to eat whatever you want, like a good steak, you are out there, and there's nothing really good. With the knowledge of carnivore diet, you can really make better choices for yourself,
Mm,
not to fall into the way of binge eating carbohydrates and to feel bloated afterwards. It's it's really so much more than eating only meat and eggs and
mm,
whatever, because there are so many variations of carnivore diet. Currently, I do mostly steaks, ground beef, and egg yolks, because I don't eat the egg whites, because for me they make me super bloated. So I think everyone has to figure out their own way, their own best way, their own individuality, in order to empower themselves as best as they can.
mm. Absolutely. Absolutely. W- One thing I'm curious about, since you started strength training, I know that you were weightlifting prior to being carnivore. Have you noticed, and I know you kind of already touched on this a little bit, but have you noticed the the level that you're able to lift at has increased easier than prior to starting carnivore?
Yes, definitely. When I was on keto diet, I was increasing little by little, but at a point it was like kind of stagnated. With a carnivore, I increased my strength exponentially. Like, it was really, really a lot, a big difference, I
Yeah.
would say.
Yeah.
I'd say also a similar experience for me as well. I don't go to the gym and lift weights. Ironically, anymore, I don't because I'm more into outdoor agility, change of direction drills. That's just my go-to at this point. Of that, ironically, I canceled my gym membership today, this morning. So again, I'm still going to be active, but when I started carnivore, See, I will. Selena's pointing at me like, "Don't you stop." I'm going to. I make sure I get full body work with sprints, plyometrics, change of direction, and but to explain my own experiences, when I went carnivore, I got stronger so fast than where I was as a standard eater, and to the point where I was actually losing weight. My muscles were getting smaller, but I was getting stronger. It was
Mm,
amazing. I couldn't believe it. And so, to your point as well, Paulo, is like we aren't built to be these super muscular beings like so many. Like I grew up adoring bodybuilders, male or female, thinking like that's the physique. Of course, like bodybuilding can be great. I think physique competition is more natural than bodybuilding, where people are just like super large. And so anyway, I'll round out my comment here about the gains and the wins of physical exertion on carnivore, which is on social media. A lot of people comment. They think that carnivores are supposed to be these just huge, massive beings, and they're like, "Well, so much for you being a meat eater. You look like skinnier than whatever." They'll make whatever comment, and in my head, I'm always I reply in a comment like, "Well, we're not supposed to have excessive water weight and excessive glycogen in our muscles, which is causing them to be, overfilled and look big, but it's really just some level of inflammation um, in the muscles." So anyway, I'll leave it there. But I just, like you said, though, we're not supposed to be these huge Hulk humans.
Yeah.
no.
And growing up as a kid and a teenager, I was so inspired to go to the gym, and I had this idea to work out and get these huge muscles because I was so influenced by what I saw outside, and I never realized that so many people are into injecting these illegal substances to make their muscles like super big. And I was not realizing that back in the day. And I remember when I was a kid, uh, I had um, I had an experience with a video game, and I saw this super muscular character like shouting in the screen and like going and killing the enemies. And I said to myself, when I grow up, I want to be like this. This guy looks super strong and healthy, and he can do whatever. And I had that all the time in my mind. I want to be this kind of hero that goes with a huge muscles, you know? But it's just a fantasy. Yeah. You're supposed to get in the best performance of what you have, not like increase the size of your muscles just because to look like menacing or something like that.
I'm menacing. Arr. Just kidding. I can be though. I can be. I'm
Yeah,
sure I could be scary.
I've seen you lift. I've
everybody.
seen your videos of you lifting, though, Selena.
Yeah, I'm not weak by any means.
It's menacing for sure.
I think like and I really appreciate that you are doing that, James. Working out outdoors, for me it's the best way to work out. Working out like getting sun at the same time. Yeah, definitely agility training is super important. And I think the end goal, like a perfect end goal, would be to reach a point where you can do body weight exercises like
Mm,
hypertrophy with just a body weight, calisthenics. I think weightlifting is a great start for everyone, especially for the ones that have trouble doing like body weight exercises. It's gonna take a long time. It's a long run, I think,
mm,
but I think it's totally worth it. It feels really great when you have been lifting weights for quite some time, and then you manage to do like 30, 40 push-ups Like for me, it feels really amazing. And then you can build your strength and your muscles based on body weight exercise. I don't know. It's just an option that I think it's great. But I do believe that most people need to lift weights to get started at least. It really increases your quality of life.
I think it's kind of a non-negotiable if you want to have any kind of extension of life, because the moment you stop moving, the moment you're done. In fact, one of our members in our core group brought that up this morning, actually, I think this morning, where it's like he said, "You know, the moment you stop moving," it was Nate, "The moment you stop moving, I think that's when it's over," and I couldn't agree more. He mentioned a family member of his living well into their hundreds and still going out and handling all of their tasks with the farm and stuff like that, and you know that even at that age, they're still doing things like squatting down and lifting stuff off the ground and getting the feed and, doing all of these things that are standard movements, but they don't stop moving. And I have a very similar experience where I had great-grandmothers that lived well into their hundreds who still, handled their own gardens, and they handled their own chickens, and they milked their own cows, and they lived well into their hundreds, and they when they died, they were still fully functional human beings. It wasn't like they were decrepit and having to be waited on hand and foot, they were still washing their own dishes, like, they like, fully capable. So, there's definitely something to be said for that.
Yeah, there's another thing I want to touch because I didn't mention it, which is the insulin resistance. And I think this is not really mentioned a lot within the uh, medical community. What I mean is when people go to their doctors, the general practitioner doctors, this, at least for me, when I was suffering from it, it was never mentioned to me. Uh, well, when I used to go to the doctor like that for blood tests, uh, they would say all the time everything is fine. It's just your triglycerides or something minimal there. It's something there. Just don't eat too much sugar or something, and that's it. And I spent so much money trying to figure out this, going to every kind of doctor. When I finally in when I went to Bulgaria, I found a doctor that, like, it was she finally told me, it was an endocrinologist. She told me that I had this insulin resistance, and I didn't understand what was that. And I was like, what was that? And she actually took the time to explain me everything. She told me, you have to calculate in a formula your glucose level and do it with your insulin, and there you have the result. And then it changed my mind. Like, I started investigating more and more about this, and she even told me, you have to limit your consumption of foods that have a high glycemic index. Okay, and it started by there, until my insulin levels were something like 18 on the chart. I don't know how to say it right now, the exact measurements, but it was 18. And currently I have a steady value of like 3. So it's a huge difference. I don't have insulin resistance anymore. And people all over the world need to know this, that it's insulin resistance that leads to diabetes type 2. This is very crucial, and many people don't know. Then they are diagnosed with diabetes type 2, and they have no clue what caused it, and the doctor just tells them, it's just your genetics. It's not like that.
No, I absolutely cannot stand it when doctors and people just throw out the, well, it's just because of your genetics. You were bound to get it anyways, or you were bound to have this problem because of your genetics. I have to say that's probably one of the phrases that makes me so angry, because it's like, well, yes, somebody might be genetically more predisposed to having it. It doesn't mean that they're actually going to get it. What are they introducing into their environment that triggers the negative effect to happen? And that part is so frustrating to me, because I want to go, if we look at simple logic, very simple logic, with obesity alone, we did not have the obesity epidemic that we have now 50 years ago. We didn't have it 60 years ago. We didn't have it 70 years ago. In fact, one of the people who was traveling around with the sideshow freak shows anomaly, I think he was only like, what, 287 pounds? Nowadays, for somebody to be 287 pounds is like normal. Like, that's an average. And you go, okay, obviously it's not genetics, because otherwise, genetically, this would have been happening throughout all of time, not just this period of time.
I agree, and I'd like to. Everything you're saying is so impactful, and I just want to double down on that by say we have a problem without saying we have a problem with the popularity of GLP-1s. People are like, "Oh, can I have one?" Raising their hand, doc, can I get it prescribed the GLP-1? Why? Because there's a problem, clearly. But before that, no one wanted to admit, oh, I need to adjust what I'm doing, my lifestyle, the food. No, it's just like, oh, here's a quick solution. And I call modern GLP-1s like the next generation of medical insulin. It's really the excuse to perpetuate a bad lifestyle. Oh, I can eat high glycemic foods, to your point, Paulo. I can eat high glycemic foods because there's insulin for that. Oh, I can eat whatever I want because there's GLP-1 for that. So I won't eat as much of the bad things, but I can still eat the bad things. Someone's fixing their lifestyle. So it's amazing your doctor even mentioned a high glycemic food or
Yeah.
what that is and how it relates to insulin resistance. Yeah, but not everyone gets it. I'll close out this little rant here by saying, me being pre-diabetic on my labs for years, years and years, I kept seeing it, and it would increase slowly towards that diabetic threshold, which really I think it's all part of the same scope anyway. But not once did my doctor say, "Hey, this is how you slow this progression." They were just waiting for me to be a full blown diabetic.
So that they can start a new round of medication protocols for you.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So let's say you have to be lucky to find a good doctor
Mm-hmm.
to tell you that this is what happened with my case. But I mean, I was searching and searching and searching. Eventually found one, and I'm really glad, because it like kind of kickstarted a change in my way of thinking, of thinking about the food. Exactly. And good point that you mentioned there, James, because these people that want to get the GLP-1 and do the minimum effort, I think many people don't realize that they have to put way more effort than they are actually putting on in order to achieve a good result regarding health. I had to do a lot of experimenting myself with fasting, for example. I actually do fast a lot, sometimes too much. And I think I personally myself, I should start eating way more. But it's just this thing that the carnivore diet gave me, is that I can focus so much on doing everything in my life. I suddenly got hyper focused in and way more passionate about life, you know. And there's another carnivore person that I follow, and I'm not recalling the name right now, but I recently saw a reel like there should be no excuses to work out. He was at the beach, actually. Sorry that I forgot about the name, but I think this is a really, really good way to put it.
I think you're talking about Stefan, the Dutch
Yes,
carnivore.
thank
Yeah,
you.
sounds like
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Stefan.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
that sounds like Stefan.
And I think as the age goes by to the people, as people get older and older, I think that they need more and more this kind of mentality, no excuses, because as the age progresses, the worse it gets. So you really need to put in the effort, because many people who are diabetic, I don't understand why I walk so much and I go low carb and still yeah, you need to put in more effort. Walking like 10,000 steps a day is the bare minimum. Then you add on top of that weightlifting or strength training, whatever the way you want to work out, how you want to work out. But you need to have strength training. You need to increase the capacity of your muscles to deal with the food.
Absolutely. We should start a new series. You know how I'm sure you guys have seen those reels where women are asking their significant others or their husbands or boyfriends or whatever, is this princess treatment or is this bare minimum? But we need to like start doing it for ourselves. Like, is this, like, is this like above and beyond treatment, or is this just bare minimum that you should be taking care of yourself?
That's a good one.
Right.
Yeah.
10,000
on
steps is bare minimum.
Right. And I agree with that too. I have the same sentiment of if we want to compare 10,000 steps of walking, and that's the goal, just straight walking, and look at the wearables and like, great, or your phone, mission accomplished. Buzz, buzz on your watch and your wrist, like all these good feedback loops. Okay. 10,000 steps walking versus half an hour in the gym that maybe, had some functional movement, or half an hour of sprinting, doing some functional movement, with that just being like 3,000 steps a day. Like that wins, you know. In the end, and my long-term approach to that would be, you can walk 10,000 steps a day, and you'll get healthier, in my opinion. But if you just did those 3,000 steps in the gym, or 3,000 steps out, doing agility, your outcome will supersede the 10,000 steps of walking per day. So you're right. I'm at the same sentiment. Like, that's just the bare minimum. You get it done, but you can supersede the results.
I'm gonna make a list and we're gonna start a new trend. Okay, is it this or this? Is this is this self elite treatment, or is this just bare minimum? New Instagram trend starting now.
Nice.
All of you guys out there watching, get on it.
Yes, love it.
So Philip said he started to pick up tennis again, which that is a pretty athletic sport. I think people don't give it enough credit how much agility you have to play tennis.
Agree.
You have to be quick on your feet.
I also think there's another sport that people usually underestimate, which is the badminton.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't see anybody play that anymore. It used to be so much more popular here in the US when I was younger. And probably over the last 30 years, I've hardly seen it played anymore over here. I don't know what happened to it.
I don't know either, but nowadays the trend in all over Europe is mostly the paddle, I think.
The pickleball.
It's probably that or similar. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, paddle's similar. I learned paddle similar. It has glass walls though, right? I don't know the rules, but it's similar to pickleball.
Is that like racquetball?
Yeah, I'm not sure about that.
Almost
but,
like racquetball.
There's
Yeah.
a lot of people playing it right now. It's really trendy. And I
Yeah,
absolutely think that any kind of sport, any kind of movement is really beneficial. Whatever sport you want to play, like uh, whatever, if it's trendy or not, just do something.
Right?
Move. You gotta move.
but I think it's important. It's important to note, and I've learned this though, but for anyone who doesn't really have the same mindset that the people in the carnivore space do, is the food matters of how that we move. And it's nice to just say move, but because, like I mentioned, we're maybe naturally inclined to want to move because we have proper nutrition. The body is ready to, output that energy. But like for those who aren't aware, like the food matters. We're not just going to be waking up and saying and telling ourselves or writing down on a sticky note, go to the gym, work out today, and that's going to get us to work out. It won't.
No?
I mean, I tried it, and I also tried to outwork the bad diet. It didn't work either. Spending an
Same.
hour a day at the gym and just kind of really turning my wheels. But yeah, in the end, I agree with you 100%. Get out and move, but it all starts with the food. That's what's energizing our physical exertion.
Yes, and I think building the right mindset, it takes time. At least for me, it took some time. It was something that went on like slowly and steadily until I am like this right now. Yeah, it has to be a long-term investment. Your physical fitness and health, yeah, and you gotta be patient. And it's something that is very repetitive.
Hmm.
You have to be able to deal with the repetition. I mean, people are doing a lot of repetition and with everything every day. So anyway, just do it anyway.
Yeah,
So I'm
but if you have, oh, go ahead.
now I'm about to change subject, so you go ahead.
I'll keep it brief. I was gonna say, if you have enough time for bad habits, and you have no time for good habits.
Absolutely.
You're gonna-
Absolutely. I was going to ask, you mentioned earlier that you were married. Is your wife also following a carnivore lifestyle, or is she still not on board with it yet?
Yeah, she's on board with it. She saw the results. She saw it by herself firsthand, and she decided to follow. She does that most of the time. Maybe she will eat a sweet potato or an avocado here and there, but it's not something frequent. We
Right.
do mostly carnivore meals together, and it also had a huge impact on her
That's
so
awesome.
far. Yeah.
Yeah, that is awesome.
Yes.
It's definitely really helpful when your significant other is able to participate on that same path with you, because there's less tension, there's less friction in the relationship to be able to move and balance well. And it's challenging for those that don't get that, because I can speak on it from both experiences. When I was really strict keto, almost animal based, my husband was not and had absolutely nothing to do with it. And I was having to make like 2 different meals every meal, and it caused a lot of tension, not so much between us as far as arguments, but just like, like, "Oh, you really should be doing this a little bit better. You'd feel better." And you kind of get to that part where like you I'm gonna speak for a lot of people here who probably don't wanna say this, but you wanna get to a point where you're like, "Stop complaining if you're not willing to change what you're doing about things," Like, I love you, mean it, but if you're gonna keep complaining about it and not change your diet, then that's on you. I got fortunate that when we went carnivore together, like, full blown, and he's been on board ever since, so that part has been, but I've experienced both sides of that spectrum with the same man, so
Well, it really depends on the people, but usually I'm the kind of person that can do the things alone without motivation from external sources. But not everyone is like that, and it's okay. It's okay to either have your own motivation or to rely on others' motivations, because humans are social and we need each other in the end.
Mhm.
Well, so I think it's great to have someone close to you that is supporting you. This is really important.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Well, our household is also full carnivore. And Selena, you make a great point. I was cooking for Kyle as well. I was on carnivore for 6 months alone. And to your point, Paulo, still motivated. I didn't need external motivation, but I was cooking these separate meals, and it was very, I don't know, like just extending in life. Like it was extra. I realized how
Mhm.
little I needed to eat or cook for myself, and then how much I was cooking for him. Also, what I used to eat was this much times two. So crazy. But it was interesting. I'm glad 6 months in, it was Selena knows the story. But one random day, um, Kyle was like, "Don't add the carbs, just give me the meat." I'm like, "Wow, we're here." And I think a lot of it has to do with the results, though. I think our friends and especially our household, if we have kids, they see the change in 6 months. And I think it's undeniable that
Yeah.
this was healthy. So he was on board.
Yeah, it's really that kind of moment that you feel really, wow, really? Yeah. And then, your significant other is with you and is like watching you doing that. And then suddenly one day, I want to try it. And then you feel that, like, wow, nice, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I'm sure James did cartwheels across the kitchen when when he
uh, probably. I probably did some burpees in the kitchen instead of cartwheels, but yeah, something like that.
I knew there was something. There was something in there. I was like the silent excited one when he was like, "All right, let's do it." And I was just like, "Okay, let's do it." Yes.
That's awesome. Yeah.
Oh
Well,
man.
and my twin brother is also taken on keto, and that's how you started Paulo. And I tried keto as well. So many people just start with keto, so I'm hoping he'll start to dive towards carnivore.
Yeah,
But
it's
he's
the
about
gateway. It's
three
open.
and a, yeah, I believe he's just under a month, 3.5 weeks into his um, paleo keto diet, and he told me I had been carnivore for 2 years and 3 months at that time when he started, and he always ignored me. He didn't care, just like family does. And he said, my two friends started keto, and they have that same energy and passion that you have about carnivore, and that's what got me excited to try keto. And so, even though I wasn't directly tied to him trying this new diet and lifestyle, it's the energy that we all bring every day
Yeah,
that has such an impact.
absolutely.
And I believe it's really important for everyone that is doing carnivore or keto, put themselves out there. The more people we have, the better to interact with each other. I think it's really important, and it 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 makes it better to the point that it makes it more difficult for people to give up
Mm,
on on the diets, but mainly on themselves. Yeah. So
absolutely.
we have all of this social media nowadays, and we all have the chance to put ourselves out there, and people shouldn't be afraid of that. And it's actually, I'm really glad I did this. I started an Instagram page because it made my fear of exposure way better. Like, I feel better now, like talking online or exposing myself. Like, it's okay. It's okay in
Right.
the end.
Exactly.
Whatever,
It's
people will judge you all the time.
mm,
If people do not judge you online, there will be someone judging you in real life. Like, whatever, just doesn't matter.
exactly. It doesn't matter. The reality about that is people are gonna be judging you whether you do it or not. So it's
Yes.
like, why not go ahead? What is it going to matter? Does it bring you happiness? Do you have joy? Do you find a sense of community? Do you find a sense of support? Whatever your reasoning is, it's like, who cares what anybody else is thinking about what you're doing? Because the reality is even if you weren't on social media, somebody's going to be judging you for something anyways. Might as well enjoy what you're doing. Screw them.
Exactly.
That's a good
And
point.
putting ourselves out there, Paulo, is so important because, as we talked about in the TCCW Village chat, is putting ourselves out there to the unsuspecting at least makes them aware. Like those who might be living life uh, blindly because they were born into a way of thinking, a way of being, now can see you, Paulo, because you're putting yourself out there. Like, oh, someone just eats meat or just eats animal foods, and like he looks healthy. He's in the gym, like pulling the entire stack. Like that's possible. And then they see like, oh wow, there's like thousands and thousands of other carnivore specific social media accounts available. Oh, this is a thing. So I love that it's like people like you and all of us just putting ourselves out there because we're making it aware to those who would have just continued life eating a standard way and living a standard way and just going to the doctor depending on the doctor to fix their health with a pill or a shot or depending on powders and potions as supplements instead of just eating properly. So I agree with you.
Yeah, and I think it's absolutely necessary to start people to empower themselves to ask questions, to ask away, like to start asking and stop following guidelines so strictly, like to follow just what the doctor says just because it's the doctor knows best.
Hmm.
Yeah, but what if you go to another 5 or 6 doctors and they have different opinions? Like, you have to ask yourself and investigate for yourself. I think it's really important to do that.
I have to agree. Well, guys, I am probably going to go ahead and cut us down. We've been on for about an hour. If anybody here is watching and isn't following along with Carnivore Druid, you can find him on Instagram at Carnivore Druid. Go give him a follow. Take a look at what he's doing. Make sure he's keeping up with his self there, because otherwise, what accountability do we each have, right? So
That's right.
as for that, thank you so much, Paulo, for coming on. And James, as always, I'm so glad you showed up. And from this point out, I think we will see you guys next time.
Yes. Thank you very much.